If there's one thing that I've made crystal clear on this channel over the last 2 years, it's that I don't really care for laceless boots. However, these ones aren't that bad. They're not that good, but they're not that bad. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the laceless Adidas Nemesis 18 Plus in the fairly odd spectral mode pack color that, as you can see, it's kind of this grayish, greenish, off-white faded tinge color. I'm not exactly sure what to call it. It is officially called ash silver, but I'm not sure that that's an accurate description of what these look like. And I'm even wearing the matching Juve away shirt, something that I very rarely ever do on this channel, so don't expect it to become a regular thing. So of course, in today's video, we're gonna take a closer look at the boots themselves, and we're also gonna talk about probably the main reason you clicked on this video, why the Nemesis 18 Plus is my personal favorite laceless boot that I would actually wear, given that my choices were limited, because I still don't think that these are the best option out there as far as top-end models go. But as far as laceless boots go, I do actually think that these are the best ones, and we're gonna talk about why that is, including how they fit and feel on feet in today's video. So if you want to learn more, please stick around, watch the whole thing. And if you are interested in a pair of these for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below, and that'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $290 retail price. If you guys do end up enjoying the video, don't forget to support it with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. Included with the boots is this drawer style box. And you also get what is honestly a pretty generic string bag. It's got the Adidas and Nemesis logos on the front. It's made out of a black mesh. The only interesting part is the fact that it does have this dividing stitch down the middle, so the two boots technically won't touch each other while they're in the bag. But as a whole, my string bag score for this would be a 97 out of 239. So I guess we'll start with the colorway, which is pretty straightforward. Like I mentioned, it's officially listed as ash silver, which doesn't really, I guess, accurately depict what's going on. I guess you could say this is like a dull light silver or a light gray, but it does have a greenish tinge to it. Of course, I'm wearing it with the matching Juve away kit that does have a little bit more of a true gray look to it versus the boots themselves, which have more of a greenish tinge, but it's kind of like a dirty white boot. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like white boots that you've worn once or twice and they've gotten a little bit dirty and they're slightly stained. That's kind of how I would describe this color. It's not ugly by any means, but I think to most people, there's nothing about this that is particularly interesting, although personally, I do quite like them. I like the fact that it doesn't really show off the zigzag pattern in the upper all that much because it's all one solid color. The only element of flare that you're gonna find are the Adidas stripes that are the same color as the upper, but they are reflective, so they will stand out a little bit depending on the lighting situation, especially when you're taking a picture of them. It has that unusual looking collar that I'm personally not a huge fan of. They're just for looks really for the most part. And then of course the sole plate, which does have more of a true gray look to it in contrast with the upper, but it is a wearable finish, so the color will chip off over time. As far as which color is underneath, that I do not know. Either way, I personally like these. I think it's one of my personal favorite colorways of the new Nemesis 18, but I definitely think that these are not going to be for everybody. So I'm curious to hear your opinions on them down below in the comments. Moving on to how they perform, and I guess more specifically, why I am claiming these as my personal favorite laceless boots that I would actually wear. And that is 100% true, given that my options were restricted. And my options being, if I had to pick a laceless boot to wear from the Adidas brand right now, out of the X18 Plus, the Predator 18 Plus, and the Nemesis 18 Plus, the Nemesis without question would be my choice. And the main reasons for that are, one, these do fit me particularly well, which is very important with a laceless boot. Because they are laceless, there is a lack of adjustability, meaning that once you put the boots on, that's the way they're gonna fit and feel. You can't make them tighter, you can't make them looser. And for the most part, these seem to wrap my feet relatively snug, at least to the point where I don't necessarily feel like the boots are, I guess, I guess, sloppy on my feet. That's the best way I can describe it, because I wouldn't say that any of the current laceless boots from Adidas, when I wear them, they don't feel like they're horribly loose or something like that. They just don't have a particularly secure fit. And these don't feel super secure either, but they're tight enough to where it's not necessarily bothering me to wear them. Something that I have struggled with historically with laceless boots is because the top portion that is stretchy in order for you to get your foot in and out of the boots, it stretches upon more intense movement. So what's really been a problem for me is when planting to strike the ball, the top element stretches and my foot kind of slides forward and jams across the front of the boot, something that I've really never suffered from with this particular model. And the reason why that is because you do have these agility bandages wrapping across the top of your foot. They're definitely more rugged and I guess under more tension than what we saw from the first generation laceless Nemesis 17 Plus. This is definitely a big improvement. But then on the underside, it is reinforced by this mesh material that you can very clearly see that isn't quite as stretchy. So it is essentially restricting the stretch of this laceless element, which is why the lockdown is superior to the other two laceless boots currently on offer from the Adidas brand, and really any laceless boot that Adidas has put out up until this point. That is absolutely not to say that these are perfect though. They are far from perfect, and given the choice between the Nemesis 18 Plus and the Nemesis 18.1, I would much prefer the 18.1. Having the lacing system, having that ability to make the boots as loose or as tight as I'd like them to be, that little bit of adjustability makes the world of difference, and you get true lockdown because once you tie those laces tight, the top of your foot, that area of the upper is 100% secure. It's not going to stretch like this still has the ability to while you're wearing them. I guess the best way to describe whether or not laceless boots are something that you're going to like or dislike is that it depends on how picky you are in regards to how tight and responsive your boots are. If you like your boots to be really tight, if you're one of those people like myself that after 20 minutes to half an hour of playing, you retie your laces just to get them nice and snug again, you're going to hate the feel of laceless boots because you're going to be playing, you're going to notice that they're a little bit sloppy, and there's nothing that you can do to fix that sloppiness. However, if you're somebody that does tend to wear your boots a little bit more loose and you don't mind if they're not super tight, in fact you like the way that that feels, then you're probably going to like laceless boots, not just the Nemesis 18 Plus, but also the Predators or the X's. It just depends on what you like and what's going to fit your foot better. It's something you still have to try on because I don't think that every laceless boot is going to work well for every single foot. But given that they fit you properly, it's definitely true that you can get a positive experience from a laceless boot, but at the same time, I do not think they're for everybody, and they certainly aren't for me. And that's just me being honest. If you're wondering about feel and tech specs, the new Nemesis line, there's not a lot of variation with the uppers between 18 Plus and 18.1, but what you're going to find is an agility weave material here at the front, which is actually thicker and more padded than I think a lot of people would expect. This does not really offer a barefoot feel. It's more on the padded side. These are actually thicker than what you'll find from the X line, and I would say even thicker than what you'll find from the Predator line as well, which might surprise a few people. To a certain extent, they even feel a little bit bulkier and more padded than what you'll find from the Copa 18.1, which is probably very surprising to a lot of people. From that area back, the entire upper is made out of layers of these agility bandages, which are basically just elasticated bands that kind of crisscross around each other. And then there's liners and reinforcement materials internal as well. But that's basically what's creating the upper and this unique look that is the Nemesis boot. It kind of looks like bandages wrapping your foot. Doesn't necessarily feel as unique as it looks, but they do fit relatively well, especially for laceless boots. But again, that's going to vary from person to person depending on your feet specifically. It does have kind of an unusual mid-cut that I really didn't have any issues with as far as chafing at the back of the heel is concerned, which is a good thing. That was something that I struggled with the first generation Nemesis. It has this kind of V-shaped cut on the medial side, on the lateral side, and then on the medial side, it's cut a little bit higher, which looks kind of unusual, but honestly doesn't feel like anything special at all. And then as far as the sole plate and stud pattern is concerned, this uses a torsion frame, which is one of the more solid sole plates on offer from Adidas, all variations of the sprint frame essentially. And then of course the FG AG Nemesis stud pattern that I would definitely say is more true FG than it is AG. This is not a stud pattern that I like wearing on artificial grass, although you can get away with it. You can see the studs themselves are the standard Adidas layout, but they're this half circle shape. So they do have a little bit of a bladed feel to them as far as aggressive traction is concerned, which is great on natural grass, but on artificial grass, I feel like the studs are a little bit too long. I kind of struggle a little bit with stud pressure, and it just doesn't feel all that good. If you're buying the Nemesis while you can use them on artificial grass, this is a boot that I would buy predominantly to use on natural grass. Now, of course, because these are laceless, you might be wondering, are they difficult to put on? Are they hard to take off? And the answer to that is no, they're easy to put on and easy to take off. I would say easier than a lot of boots, honestly. What I like to do is put them on like any other mid-cut boot. So I like to grab the heel area, make sure I'm not stepping on the structure as I'm putting my foot in, grab the front part of this kind of extended collar, turn it sideways, get my foot in halfway, and then from there, just basically push it all the way in. These, out of all the laceless boots from Adidas, I would say are the most difficult to put on, mainly because there isn't quite as much stretch across the top of the foot because of that mesh reinforcement material that does restrict the stretch of the 360 agility bandages. But you can see once they're on, you adjust the collar around the edges and you're pretty much good to go. On feet, the Nemesis 18 Plus, at least for me, fits pretty secure. I wouldn't really say that there's too much to break in, mainly because they're not super tight. The main reason why you need to get used to a lot of boots, and it can take a little bit of time, is either because they're too stiff, these aren't really stiff, or they're too tight. And as far as laceless boots go in general, none of them are really gonna have that super tight sensation on your feet. So they're gonna feel pretty comfortable out of the box. As far as lockdown is concerned though, that is very much gonna depend on how well these fit you. Just because you can put them on your feet doesn't necessarily mean that they fit you well. These, for the most part, wrap my foot pretty closely, but again, there is still that noticeable stretch when I bend my foot across the top, which does allow my heel to lift a little bit. It's not quite as bad when I'm playing in them, but it is something that still bothers me and I constantly notice, and it's just not an issue with the 18.1 variation that has a lacing system and just better lockdown overall. So again, really just depends on what you want when it comes to going for the 18 Plus or the 18.1 variations within the Adidas brand right now. As far as width is concerned, the Nemesis is decently wide through the forefoot and toe box area, but I would say a little bit more snug through the midfoot, so not a particularly wide boot, although it does have some decent volume to it. If you have really wide feet, I wouldn't say that these are a particularly great option, but I do think that they will fit most people. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is pretty much perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair, I would recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, I don't hate laceless boots, they just wouldn't really be my first choice at the top end price points. And given that the laceless boots on offer from Adidas right now are some of the most expensive top end models out there, why you would choose those over other options, I'm not really sure. It's not something I would be willing to do, but that's not to say that these aren't capable performers if you like the idea of a laceless football boot. Anyways, guys, that is it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself in this color or any of the other colorways, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes. You'll be able to pick them up below their normal $290 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.